Okay, so what we did in our previous video was we were able to write a Lambda function, test it, and we saw that when we pass two values, it gives us a result. But this is running inside Lambda, and I cannot access this Lambda outside of AWS. But I might want to connect to this Lambda from my front end, which could be running somewhere else. It could even be my local MacBook. So how do I make this function accessible to the outside world? So for that, AWS gives me one tool called as API Gateway. So let's go there. And what API Gateway does is our front end can call API Gateway and then it will direct us to that Lambda. So that is the job of API Gateway. Now, obviously, API Gateway does much more than what I just described. So, but we are not getting into those as that is not part of the scope of this small and simple demonstration. So we will quickly create an API and we will go with a basic HTTP API. We'll quickly build it, give it some name. I already chose this name because in our Lambda right now it is doing summation, but tomorrow we might want to add, say, subtraction, multiply, division, etc., and other calculations. So that's why I kept a generic name. I want to integrate with this API gateway my Lambda. Just so you know, APIs can also connect with other APIs, but for now, for this demonstration, I'm connecting my Lambda. And what is my Lambda? Which is the calculation Lambda, which we created in the previous video. And then we'll quickly go to next. Now, if you have created any APIs in any applications, you already know that we need to give a route. In this case, because we are submitting some data from the front end, or we are going to submit some data from the front end, so it will be a post method. And then we would like to give some path such as sum. Why do I give API? Because tomorrow I might also want to create multiply and division and so on. So that's why I have segregated it that way. And then there could be also other type of calculation which I might want to do, and then I might want to put it in a different route such as V1, etc. But for now, I'll keep it API and sum. What do I want to connect? The Lambda function. Go next. Okay, here I would like to talk about what is a stage. So typically in a corporate project, we know that there are multiple environment or also known as stages. So it will be dev, could be testing, and then could be production. So whenever we develop something new, we would like to set it to dev. And as we have seen in the previous video that we have to keep deploying whenever we make changes. So even it is same in the API gateway world as well. So let's do next and let's create our first API, which will connect to the Lambda function. So you can see that this is the path. But how do I access this? So for that, I need to go to get the full path, which is this. You can see it here. So this is my complete path. Obviously, it is missing that /API/sum. Now I will take this, copy this. I'll go to my front end, and you can see I have already created a very basic application. And as you know, from the front end, you can use the request library for sending data over a certain API. So here we have the complete URL, which we just now got from the API gateway. That is the URL we are going to call. We have prepared some data, and then we are going to use the post method, which is part of the request library. And then we need to give two things. One is the URL and one is the data that should be in the JSON format. And once you hit the try to access this API, it will give you some response back, which I would like to print it out. Okay. All right. So I will save this and I will simply run this Python function. Oh, what happened? It says internal server error. That means there was some issue with my code, and that will probably the Lambda function. Okay, let's quickly go to my Lambda function. And but it was running fine. We can quickly check again, and you can see, it is running fine again. So what was the issue? So whenever we see certain issue, it is a good idea to go to the CloudWatch logs. Once we are here, quickly refresh it so that we keep getting the latest one. And then once we click on it, and it seems like there is a key error. You can see here, there is an error, and it says this variable has some issue. That means this is not, it could not find the key, but I just now ran and saw that this code is working fine. So what's going on? So in order to debug that, what we can typically do is, it is a good idea to print the event itself, because keep in mind, anytime we try to call this Lambda, the data is always passed through the event, and it says this is missing. So we need to see what went or what changed when I called from my local machine versus when I was testing this inside the AWS Management Console, right? So what we can say, event details, and then I want to print the event. And because I made some changes, I will deploy it again. But this time, I'm not going to test it from the management console. Rather, I will come here and run it again. Obviously, it will fail, but I still want to see the logs. So I will go back to my logs. I'll go back to my main folder. I'll refresh it for the latest changes. And then here, when I said event details, I would like to expand this, go over this crazy gibberish message, and I could see my data here. But wait, this data is inside another key variable called body. So that means there is some formatting issue of my data because it is inside this key called body. So that means I need to modify how I'm accessing this body value. So in order to do that, what I can try here is, in order to access that body key, I can do something called as JSON loads, and within event, I have something called as body. All right. Now, before I make any further changes, I would like to see the data now looks like, and I would like to print the data. And see, this is all in order to explain to you what's going on. And I would like to see this data should be a normal JSON. So I will deploy the code again, and I'll go back to my local console. And remember, I did not fix anything yet. I'm just trying to print it. So print the log. So I'm going to run it. It's going to fail again. I come to my logs. I go back to the root folder, refresh it again. Yes, now I can see the latest logs. And here it is. The data now looks like similar to what I had previously. Okay, so that means I need to add one more step here. So instead of directly trying to access the event with the key parameter, I have to do it via this data. So this is now data, and this is now data. All right, so I'm going to deploy it again. And once this is done, I'm going to my local machine. Yeah, and let's see whether this works or not. I'll first clear the screen, run it again. Awesome. So the code ran, but I did not get my result.